Hi, my name is Max, and welcome to my bedroom.
And my name is Silke. I am your host. This is How Was It, the podcast about sex and sexualities. And today we're here with Max, and we're going to talk about labels that don't actually fit him. So let's get into that, and let's get into bed. Okay, so thanks, Max, for having me into your bed.
You're very welcome.
So I don't know anything about you. So tell me who you are, what you identify as, what your pronouns are, what do you do for a living?
I'm Max, he, him, 23. I identify as bisexual. I work in the sustainability sector. Yeah, what else? Originally German, grew up here in the Netherlands. Bit of both. Yeah.
And you live here in Leeuwarden.
Yes.
So I was looking for people for my podcast, and I was looking for a straight fuckboy. And I asked around with some friends, and somehow I ended up with you. So tell me, why did I end up with you?
That's maybe I'm not the entirely right person to ask, but a friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, came up to me. I think it was about a week before you texted me about it, and was like, "Okay, so Max, hear me out. A friend of mine is looking for people on their podcast, and she needs a straight fuckboy, and I don't really think you're either. I know you're not straight, and I also wouldn't say you're a fuckboy, but you're perfect to be on the podcast." So I was like, hold up a second. She needs a straight fuckboy. I'm neither, but you think I'm good. Explain that to me. And then she was like, not even sure what she said. She's like, yeah, you sort of fit the vibe, but also not really. But I thought you just have maybe some very interesting things to say about sex. So yeah, I was like, yeah. And I was like, this makes no sense to me, but sure. And then, yeah, about a week later, you texted me.
Yeah. I felt really bad. I was like, I'm gonna say that he's a fuckboy, but like I don't even know him.
Should we read out the text? Because I sent it to multiple of my friends and we laughed so loud.
No.
Wait, yes.
Oh my god, yes.
It literally went. And I got like, unknown number. Hey, I have an incredibly weird question for you, and you're absolutely welcome to say no. But I'm making a visual podcast for the streaming platform Matters Friesland and Spotify about sex and sexualities, and I will join a guest in their bedroom to talk brutally honest about this. For this podcast, I'm still looking for someone that is seen as a fuckboy, and I don't know if you're going to be happy about this, but someone mentioned you. So, are you? And would you be willing to be on the podcast? And, here we are. So I guess the answer is yes.
So tell me, what do you think the label fuckboy is? What does it mean to you?
I sent it to some friends, and we also talked about that, like whether that fits or not. I got some mixed messages, and I think it really depends on how you define it, and I think you can go both ways. I think you can see it as someone who is quite focused on sex, I think, rather in general, or someone who's quite focused on sex in like relationships to other people. If that makes sense, as a difference. I think they're in general, like in like a fuckboy, someone, to me, I would say, where in a general conversation, sex is on the back of their mind. And to me personally, a bit of the connotation is also that it's mainly about their own pleasure rather than the interaction.
Yeah, interesting. I think
yes. Because I mean, my definition, I've also been talking with a few people about this recently, and I think, yes, that like sex is a really big thing. That's what makes it a fuckboy. But I think what I've been hearing from friends also is that it's about the relationship that they have with those sexual partners, and mainly what they were saying is what really makes it a fuckboy is if they're like consciously manipulating people, which I found really interesting. And I think that that makes it like there's a different connotation to being a fuckboy and being a slut, and I think we can talk about it a bit more later. But I feel like they could be the same if it's about sex, because a woman is being called a slut if she has sex a lot, and a man is called a fuckboy if he has sex a lot, I would say. But then I feel like for me, a fuckboy is also a bit more if it has that manipulative side to it. Have you ever?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was referring to a little bit in that, like a lot more focus on their own sexual. Like that is the primary topic when they think about, like when a fuckboy thinks about sex in that sense.
Yeah.
So I think with that I would agree with you, and I think also like I mean, that's very much me talking about myself, but like in that sense, I would also not call myself a fuckboy. If you also, one of my friends with whom I talked about this was like, so I would call you a respectful fuckboy, and I was like, isn't that a bit of an oxymoron though? Like, is that can that be, or is like especially that lack of respect part of what makes someone a fuckboy?
Yeah, and so that's where I don't think so. I think that like a fuckboy is always a red flag, you know?
So so a respectful fuckboy is not possible.
But it should be. So you should claim it and be like, look at me being a fuckboy, and you can also be a respectful fuckboy, you know?
Yeah. When it comes to reclaiming like verbs, that is and I think that's the difference also. I was like, I'm very happy to come onto the podcast to talk about it. I think it's important to have that conversation. I think personally, because like that's a bit in the conversation, I personally have too much what you also have, that connotation of lack of respect towards any partners, etc., for me to be comfortable with describing myself as a fuckboy. Like I wouldn't I wouldn't say that fits with me. But I could start to reclaim it, although if I'm being honest, I doubt I will. What about why don't we have other terms though? Because arguably, if we start to reclaim the term fuckboy as something respectful, then how do we call people who are fuckboys in a more traditional sense?
Red flags.
Ah, fair.
I don't know. Does it have to be? Why does there need to be a name for that?
I know I think it's maybe also because, do you feel like it ever had that connotation of like a positive fuckboy in that sense?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, in the past, I think you would say it was a positive thing to say about someone?
Well, I think for some people it still is. Like, fuckboy definitely doesn't have the same connotation as slut. Like, if in general, like, slut has always been bad. And fuckboy, there are guys that are known as being a fuckboy, and that's like, kind of like, look at him going.
But I think there's not really I think they're just
But everyone else
less worried about being called a fuckboy with the connotation we just talked about.
Yeah.
As in having a lack of respect for the other people in the relationships they have. I think if you're like, a lot of people who are proud to be called fuckboys, I think don't really care about that because there's a lack of respect there anyway.
Yeah.
So they also don't like care that much about that being an element. Well, I would say if someone would say I'm a fuckboy, thereby implying that in the relationships I'm having there's a lack of respect from my side, I would feel terrible.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. I think it never had in or within my value system, it never had a positive connotation. It always had this connotation.
Yeah, okay.
And just some people don't care that, or don't think that's an issue, which in my eyes is an issue.
Yeah.
So in that sense, also reclaiming it, because it was never something positive in my eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the thing with.
So would you feel good about if your friends say like, oh yeah, Max is a, what did they say again? A
respectful fuckboy.
Respectful fuckboy. Would you find that positive then?
Well, yes, because I know what they mean by it.
Yeah. Why did they say it? What's the part of the fuckboy that you do relate with?
What I do relate with, I think in that sense, I have quite a, let's say, a easy going, quite open attitude towards sex in general. It's also definitely not something I think we should take out of the taboo zone. I think it's something that you can quite openly talk about. I'm also a big fan of, if you want to sleep with your friends, sleep with your friends. In that sense. So it's not that kind of, I don't like it as being this mythical thing you have within a relationship, and
the thing being sex.
The thing being sex, yeah. And I think that is like a part of that attitude I have towards sex is like, also talk quite openly with my friends about it. We banter a lot. Like, also I have a couple of friends, and the friend who told me this also is one of them, where our banter is also towards each other quite sexual from time to time. So I think just that layer of openness towards sex, I think, is part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Do you think fuckboys talk openly about sex? Is that like something that sex positivity, is that?
No. I mean, yes, but not in this way. I think in general, like, when I think about like the stereotypical fuckboy in my mind, yeah, they probably are very proud of themselves when they like kind of this typical. I mean, without wanting to be stereotyping, but kind of the stereotype frat boy kind of vibe is like, oh, I had like this and that, and you remember that chick at that vibe. I think, yeah, they talk very openly about that.
Yeah.
Do they talk about what do they like? How did it make them feel? All of those things that for me are also inherent to sex. Do they talk about that? I don't think so.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, definitely with the people I sleep with, I also find it quite important to also afterwards talk. What did you like? What did you not like?
Yeah.
In case it's people I sleep with more often, like trying new things out, having open communication about it. Yeah, no, I think that's really important.
That's nice. So this is, you texted me like that you didn't really fit the fuckboy label, maybe, and that maybe that what you wanted to talk about, and then you said a lot of big words, was the interplay between sex and toxic masculinity, social norms, promiscuity, and patriarchy. Which I find interesting. We're not going to go into all of that, I would say. Not because it is really interesting, but it's only a 30-minute podcast.
Yeah,
and talking about
fair.
the patriarchy will take a bit longer. But I find it interesting, the social norm around promiscuity.
Yeah.
How do you experience those social norms? Can you say anything about that? Like, why is that something that you...
I think it's basically when you talk about fuckboys, or you also refer to like the label slut, I think it's immediately, if someone is known as, oh, he or she sleeps with a lot of people, then they, like, everyone is very quick to attach a label. And I mean, we're not going to get into patriarchy, but like for men, it's fuckboy, which is, as we established, not always seen as a negative label. While slut for women is often seen as a negative thing. But I think in general that is still, although I think it has becoming more and more of a topic, it's still quite common that even in sex positive spaces, I think those labels, even though sometimes they have been reclaimed as well. I think I have some friends who also would refer to them as sluts in a very proud way. But it's still very easily like jumped to as a label, I would say. And I think that's also a sign that we are still, as a society, not there to have a proper conversation. Like, I was talking actually this weekend, I was talking with a friend about like consent, and then especially enthusiastic consent on the dance floor or in nonverbal spaces.
Enthusiastic consent, what does that mean?
It's like instead of like consent as an absence of a no, like very explicitly asking people, do you like this? Is this okay? Do you want to do this? And then kind of having an only going there when it's an enthusiastic yes.
All right.
Rather than just assuming that when there's no, that means yes.
Yeah.
But like that requires open communication. And in non-verbal spaces, that's not always the easiest thing. And so we were talking about that, and I was like, because it came up, like we were out together, and it crossed my mind, and then we talked about it, and then my friend was also like, yeah, I don't know. And then I was like, I'm 23. I would say I grew up in a relatively liberal household, had always quite open-minded friends. And this is the first time in my life that one crosses my mind, or we talk about it. Although, like, all of us in our age go out quite a bit, deal with the topic of consent on a daily basis when we go out, or have to, or should deal with the topic of consent. Yeah. And it's not talked about. Like, how the fuck are we living in a society where that's not a topic in everyone's, like, upbringing? Whether it's by school, parents, or friends, but at some point I feel like that conversation should happen. And I'm not sure if you had that conversation at some point, but...
Good question. Not in my upbringing, definitely no.
Yeah, you know, so in that sense, and I think that's very much speaking to the societal norms that are still hanging around sex, and it's still very much like in your upbringing, maybe at some point have the talk, and here's a pack of condoms.
Did you have a sex talk?
Well, it was very much, that was it basically. It's like, you know, if our girlfriend now, here's some condoms. If you want to talk, let me know. And I was like, sure. I'll definitely not do that.
No, you didn't.
No, exactly. But like,
at what age was that?
I think I was 15, I think. Yeah. That time. But yeah, that was the extent of it. And like it was not a lot more than that. And like,
I find it so interesting that parents do that. Did you have?
What did your parents? Nothing at all. They just never brought up the topic.
Never. No, they would never.
That's even more shocking to me, actually.
Yeah, but that's a Christian household.
Fair. Mine is a Catholic one. Maybe they're a bit more open when it comes to sex. Let's not make the joke, shall we?
Did you have sex education at school or something? Did you ever get any?
I mean, there was the basic reproductive health part.
Yeah. Not about pleasure.
No. Also not about consent, I think.
No.
And then at some point we had there was, I think so, reproductive health. There was end of primary school, I think, like in biology at some point. And then at some point we also in secondary school we had I think it was literally one class, and maybe the topic of consent came up briefly. There was how to use a condom. So, it was like a bunch of
That was in biology class? Or
No, it was what was that topic called again? It was a very weird subject we had for 1 year in our first class of secondary school. And we did a bunch of weird it was actually quite a nice class because you learn, like, there was one class on how the fuck do you do laundry. There was one class on, a bit of sort of the light version of sex education. There was basically some basic things you need to know as a human being if you want to survive. And it was one of those things. But it was like, that was also the setting. One class was about laundry and then the other one was about how do you use a condom.
But that's good, I feel like.
Well, I mean, it's a good start, but it's kind of sad that that's how far we've come.
Sure. Yeah.
I would like there to be a bit more.
Where would have you wanted as a 15-year-old to get the information from? Wouldn't have been from your parents at school or like something else? Would you have I think talk at that with your friends?
Age, I mean, not with my friends because they also didn't have it, I think it's if I think back about myself as a 15-year-old, or maybe also I would start a bit earlier. I think as a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old, where you should start learning about this. You don't want to talk about this with your parents nor at school, but I think both should be there either way, because these are things, even if you at that point don't want to talk about them, you need to know.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it's telling the conversation I had with my parents was with my mom, not with my dad. I think that's also a bit telling in that sense. Or at least it's not per se, but I feel like it's indicative of also how we as a society deal with this to a certain extent. So yeah, what I would have wanted, I'm not sure. But I think it should have been both at school and also I think also there's a clear role for parents to talk about consent. But I also believe in our education system that that is a task that the education system should hold. So it also needs to be in there. So you make sure that everyone has it as at least talked about it a bit more in depth than just one class at some point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think? Last question about this, because. But do you think if you
30 minutes, right?
if you had a proper class about consent, that you would have also talked more with your friends about consent?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thinking back about it, of course, it's still very much also. I mean, why you also don't talk about it because it has this stigma, and like having the first couple years of offering that broadly in schools probably won't change that stigma. So probably still quite little, but I think over time, it's not a one-off solution. You can't just go like, oh, we do some educational program and that will fix it. I think it's also a conversation we need to, like, on a societal basis, need to normalize. I said there also needs to be a talk with parents. Maybe there's older siblings, and like if you kind of focus on those things, then it also get easier to talk with your friends, because then you also like as a 14-year-old, you'll not go, oh, my parent told me this and this about this. No, but if it's like an older brother or sister, maybe it's a lot different. Then you're like, oh my god, my big brother told me this and this, guys. Have you heard?
Yeah, this must be true.
Yeah, exactly. Which but I think, and then I think it definitely doesn't solve everything. I think it's also at this age a conversation you need to keep having. But I think it would be a very big step to kind of just normalize talking about it as well.
Yeah. So that was all very interesting. Yeah, very good chat. But on to more important questions. What are you looking for in like dating, or like you've been saying that if you want to sleep with your friends, you should. So is that something that you're looking for?
This can be very easily interpreted. Do you want to sleep with all your friends, or
it's not?
No, no. Some of them, maybe. What am I looking?
What makes you want to have sex with some friends and not with all?
Ooh, very, very different. I think it's mainly different levels of attraction and different forms of attraction. Like with some friends, I have both a friendly connection and I have a more physical attraction, I would say. And with others, I don't. I think that's quite normal to have varying levels of attraction to different people. Yes. Yeah. In that sense, I was about to say, like, you don't have to have a emotional connection, but I think that's actually rather important for me during sex. I think I don't have that connection between romantic feelings and sex. If that makes sense.
No. Explain.
I think for a lot of people, like, kind of, if we talk about the stereotypical or the societal norms around sex, I think sexual attraction and romantic attraction are quite often equated to a certain extent. Or it's purely a sexual attraction and there's not that much emotional connection in play. I think that has kind of traditionally, I mean, actually, I'm not sure. That's how I would see it. I'm not sure if you agree.
And what is it for you then?
Well, for me, it's actually, I would say for me, if I don't like a person as a person, I also wouldn't sleep with them. Yeah. So that emotional connection needs to be there, but I don't need to have that romantic attraction to someone.
Okay, yeah, now I get it.
Want to sleep with them.
Yes, so if it's a friend and you maybe don't have that romantic connection, but there is an emotional connection because you're friends, it works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so...
Well, not with all, but...
No, but yes. Yeah. And then you wouldn't date them, but you would have...
No, if I don't have a romantic connection them. No, I won't. Depends also what you define as dating, of course. But in the traditional sense of dating, no, I won't.
Yeah. Do you date?
Well, again, that depends on your definition of dating. Lately, not a lot, I would say. No.
So not on dating apps or something.
Yeah, but that's more a alternative to mindlessly swiping Instagram.
Yeah. You can watch people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Read about their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep myself finding there as well. And I don't even want to date right now, but just swiping on there is just nice.
I think I even saw you once.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was actually thinking about it today. I was like, is he dating? I don't think I've ever seen him on a dating app. But then remembering everyone I've ever seen is, well, hard. But yeah, you remember that. Or was it recently that you saw me?
2 months ago, I think, something like that. Yeah.
On Bumble?
Bumble. Yeah. Quite a good memory though, so
that might be. Yeah. So if you're on dating apps, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for a relationship or like a one night stand? What does your dating app say? What you're looking for? Because that's one of the things.
I'm not sure. It might be don't know yet or something casual.
Yeah, those two are always very.
Yeah, it's what does it mean?
Yeah.
And that's also I really don't have any expectations from being on there. I think I used to be up until about half a year ago. I was very much like I don't see myself on dating apps whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I was also never on there, and then I think about half a year ago, I just started a Bumble on a drunk night with some friends. I think.
I think that's also how my dating app once started.
Yeah. And then and then I was like, it's a difference to Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no expectations from that whatsoever. I'm just trying to think of.
Have you had dates from Bumble?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that, but I don't think I ever went on an actual Bumble date. I actually swiped on a friend's once, and we ended up sleeping together a couple of times. But I think that was about to like. I won't rule out that would have happened without Bumble as well. But maybe Bumble fast tracked that a little bit. But I think that was about as much as it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So then again, what are you looking for? Or you don't know? You're just.
What am I looking for? Yeah. No. I think I'm not even sure that I'm looking for something in the sense of an active thing, or it's not an active. I'm not actively looking for anything at the moment, I would say. I'm just quite open to possibilities. I mean, I also won't like rule out that I might go on a Bumble date if I have a match and I'm like, oh, this seems nice.
Yeah.
But then again, also I must say that I rarely also have that feeling from just a Bumble conversation. Oh, this is really something that interests me or I would like to explore. So in that sense, what am I looking for in dating? Not actively looking for anything at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. No. Do you have a type?
A type? Not consciously. At some point, a friend of mine joked that apparently I do have a type. Not sure if I can say this, but it's blonde, German, and with a history of mental illness. Yeah. So that's kind of as it might go to as a joke.
Sure. And that goes for women or also men?
That goes for women. For men, I must say it's quite funny. I think I've kissed about as many guys as girls, but I've never slept with a guy.
All right.
So in that sense, if we're on that level, I'm not sure whether I have a specific type as I also don't think I have a specific type with a girl. I think this is purely based on looking back at recent years.
It's a pattern.
It's a pattern, not a type.
It's just a pattern.
It's a pattern.
Yeah.
But also with sufficient exceptions to say that it's really a specific type. So I'd say no, I don't have a type. That was I feel like a very out of my way of saying that.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So how come you haven't slept with men?
It was.
Do you know?
No, there was never anyone where I was like, okay, right now. I think it's also like I've been like during my youth for a long time. I was already like I kissed the first guy. No, a lot later than I kissed the first girl, I think. But I always was like, yeah, no, I like kissing guys because actually there's no difference with you kiss a guy or a girl. No,
Yeah.
There's so much diversity in kissers anyway that the difference between guys and girls is not really there.
Yes.
So I was like, that is that, but I don't see myself sleeping with a guy. Therefore, I'm not bi. That was kind of 16-year-old me. That was my reasoning. And then at some point, I think it was about 2.5 years ago, I was like, okay, maybe I do see myself. I would like to try to sleep with a guy. But that's also kind of like still, like I'm also still on the fence in the sense I right now would think that I like sleeping with a guy, but it might also be that I try it out and I go like, no, never mind.
Yeah.
And there was just never anyone where I felt like comfortable enough to try it out, and I also never felt the need to go actively look for it in that sense. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That is totally possible.
Yeah.
What is the most fuckboy thing you have done?
When I was in, so after my high school, I went to New Zealand for half a year to travel. Very cliche.
But very nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. And at some point, I met a girl in a hostel, and I slept with her, and she was traveling with a friend, the two of them. And I think it was on the first or second night I was staying in that hostel. And I think about 4 days later, I actually ended up sleeping with her friend. And then I left the next morning. That was planned. That was not...
Smart.
Yeah. So I think that would count maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I would say that counts. Yeah. In a hostel, were there like more people in the room?
No, shower.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so now we know all of this.
Yes.
When was the last time you had sex, and how was it?
When was about 1.5 months ago, I think.
All right.
It was very nice. Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 10.
On a scale from 1 to 10, 7.8.
Very specific.
Yeah, I mean, how based on what do you rate this? I mean, you can. Definitely, it was definitely good.
Right.
So,
was it with someone that you were seeing regularly, or was it?
No, well, yes or no. Well, we started seeing each other a bit more. It was actually a person I just talked about from Bumble. So we had slept with each other before a couple of times, but not a lot.
All right.
Yeah, we're kind of still seeing where it was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it here in this bed?
It was, yes. And on the couch.
I saw some stains.
Yeah, the stains were on there when I bought it. I always say, because some of them were. Yeah.
God, okay.
Yeah, it's good to have the couch and the bed so nearby. It keeps
Makes-
things
makes it
flexible.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made it good?
Very good. I think it was just relatively compatible in terms of what we enjoy.
What do you enjoy?
Very different things. I just joked beforehand. We talked about that I like wine, and about why I like wine is because it's always a bit different. Which I also appreciate about sex is that you can do a lot within the scope of sex in that sense, and it's also never really the same. Usually, or at least I hope that for people. For me, it is. It isn't. So yeah, I would say that it's not even something specific. Like, I mean, I can start list things if you want me to, but I think the main part is kind of the interaction, kind of seeing how people react to each other, kind of playing a little bit with that, trying out different things, see whether that is enjoyable for the other person or not, to switch things up. I think that's at the core of it for me.
And that's then also because you already slept a few times, so then
exactly. You have, like I said, what I said earlier, I find it quite important to also talk quite openly about it. Also, just right after sleeping with someone, what did you like? What did you not like? Why not? And then kind of next time playing a little bit with that. Kind of seeing whether certain things elicit different reactions. Yeah.
All right. So do you what do you experiment with? Like, what do you? It's like your go-to. Okay, let's try this. Do you have that?
My go-to. No, I mean, in general, I think a big part is also kind of in the lead up establishing what people like or not. In that sense, like they a bit more, like you can in general can have. It can be a bit more sensual. It can be more physical. It can be, like, question is, do people like it a little bit rough or not? All of those questions, and I think that it's very important to kind of check the base on that first. And so therefore, there's not really a certain go-to. I think you can also, even when sleeping with the same person, it can be very different on different times.
That's such a good answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's
it just is.
Yeah, thank you, I guess.
Okay,
pass the test.
Yeah. Not a fuckboy. God, I keep forgetting. Respectful. Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna do some rapid fire questions. So I'm just gonna ask you some questions, and you can just give like an answer quickly.
Okay.
And yeah, it can just be yes or no. If you can say just a little bit more. And it's
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you might have to think about this a little bit.
Wait, what's the point?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
not
about it or not?
But
yeah. Okay.
You can think about it, but short answer.
Yeah.
Do you think you are against the patriarchy because you are bisexual? Because you're not a white cis.
No, I think I'm against the patriarchy because of a lot of other reasons, and my own bisexual. I'm also very straight passing in that sense. So even though I
straight passing,
yeah, like people usually don't assume that I'm bisexual. They would assume that I'm straight. So in that sense, I've also never suffered any negative. Like if I'm a white male from a relatively well-off or not a poor household, I have all the patriarchy like worked for me every step of the way. I just inherently believe it's wrong.
Sure. Do you have a pickup line? And if yes, what is it?
No, not a serious one. I was once told by friends that I was in high school and I graduated cum laude, and then my friends made out of that. It was in Dutch actually. Hey, my name is Max. I graduated cum laude. You're better or mine. But that's Apparently, I told too many people that I graduated cum laude. In my experience, I was asked this a couple of times, but that was kind of that came out of it. I've never used it in a serious conversation though.
Would it have worked?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Well, there are probably some.
I would wish. Maybe.
Yeah. You never know. If you just use your eyes a little bit, I think any sentence will work. What's your body count?
My body count, I think 17.
That's
what? That's what?
I was gonna say the exact same number as mine. I think.
I must admit I expected the question, so I hope I counted correctly. But yeah, it should be 17. I don't keep a list on my phone now. Do
Why
you?
not?
Because I keep it up here.
Yeah, sure.
But do you keep a list?
Yes, because I actually have a reason for that. It's because I will forget about people, and I think I will feel bad about that.
Fair.
Because I think sleeping with someone is... Well, I shouldn't forget their name.
Yeah, no, fair.
So so a name and actually, this is so not rapid fire question anymore. But it's my.
You're
podcast.
In my bed. I feel like you.
I have some kind of friendship book, but it's for all of my bad partners, and I write about them.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
that's very nice.
Yeah, people that I was dating, they gave me that book as a gift, and now I write about all of my experiences in there, which is really nice. So now I definitely will not forget about anything.
Fair, no.
Okay, and another one, which is not a short question, because I will explain it a little bit. In the first episode, I was doing a call to action for people to join my orgy. And so I'm going to ask the question, would you join my orgy?
Can I have some more information about the orgy first?
Well, if everything is going well, everyone from the podcast will join the orgy.
In principle, yes. I will reserve the right to say no, depending on the people there.
Sure. I will send an invitation and you can still think about it.
Yeah.
Do you want to get married?
I'm not sure. I don't see it happening anytime soon, not anyway. And also don't really see myself there ever at this point, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's not something I say, I need to get married to have a successful life for myself. No.
Yeah. We're young. We don't know yet.
No.
What is the age category that you would date? Like minimum, maximum?
Like date or sleep with?
That's for later. Date.
Okay, date. I think my Bumble is currently on 21 to 27.
All right.
But really depends. Also, might make exceptions.
Yeah. But it's around that. Still.
Yeah, around. I think plus 10 would be a hard cap, and minus 3 at this point. I think I wouldn't date anyone who's still a teenager at this point.
And how about sleeping with?
I think similar.
Is it similar for men and women?
What?
The date, the age category, or is there a difference in that?
It's as a blanket statement, men and women. I think a little bit, but not. I think it's also very, very different per person.
Yeah.
I think in general, it's traditionally more a younger woman with an older man. That is more common than.
No, but
for
you.
For me. In that way.
As a, do you think you would date older women or older, do you think there's a difference in that?
Very hard to say because it's not been Also, I think it's not my bisexuality is definitely not a 50-50 thing in that sense. No, I don't think it's a lot different. Actually, no.
All right. Monogamy or non-monogamy?
Non-monogamy.
All right.
Ethical non-monogamy. Sorry.
Sure. I don't.
Very important.
Yeah, that's a different topic.
Yeah, I mean, but it's very. I would like to mention it.
Anything ethical, everything ethical. So.
Yeah. No. Yes, but I think it's.
I don't think it's necessary to say ethical non-monogamy because cheating is that's just different. That's not non-monogamy. But
no, but also, I mean, there's quite a large gray area between cheating and ethical and non-ethical non-monogamy, I would say, because I think ethical non-monogamy just involves a lot of talking and communication and checking with people whether they're okay with certain situations. Yeah. And you can also not do that, and then it's not cheating. Or a lot of people wouldn't qualify it as cheating, but it still causes some tension. Yeah. And I think that's important to still highlight that.
Okay, good.
I feel like you're feeling that I give two politically correct answers.
No, you're giving perfectly correct answers. We just wrecked this rapid fire question thing because we kept having a long conversations, and we have two directors behind the camera saying we really need to cut. Okay. So we're gonna do that. Okay. That was it. Thank you so much for having me in your bed, and thank you for letting me get to know you.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Nice to have you.
Thank you for listening and watching. This was How Was It? That podcast about sex and sexualities. This was Max, and my name is Silke. I am your host. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. It is how_was_it_podcast. And you can slide in our DMs and we can talk about consent. Oof. See you next week. Bye.